Welcome to another episode of Burn Peak Express. I'm Seth, and today we're gonna be doing something a little different, but kind of the same as last week. We went through 10 tools that are not screwdrivers, kind of uncommon tools in the shop that you may not have heard of. But this week, we're just gonna be going over my 10 favorite tools, and they're not the most useful tools, they're not the best tools, they're just the tools that I really enjoy using. Biking is a leisure activity, so when you work on your bike, it should really be part of that. A whole bunch of them are made by Park Tool, but this is not gonna be a Park Tool Fest. Actually, the first one is made by one of their competitors, the Pedros tire lever. This has a cult following. This is one of the best tire levers out there. Plenty of people have tried to copy it. It just never stacks up to the original. I use these mainly on mountain bikes, and because they're really stout, they're really good for getting a tire off, and because they're totally plastic, they're really good for not scratching a rim or damaging the tire. Like any good tire lever, the Pedros levers have the little spoke hook so that you can hook it in place, take your hands off of it, and use another lever to pop the tire off. And if you have a few of them and you want to store them in your bag or something, they just snap together on the Pedros logo, which I really like. Every time I pick one of these up, I just feel like I'm using a really good tool, and so it's one of my favorites. So my next favorite tool are these little guys here. We've been through a few different pairs of them because damaged a blade or whatever, using it for something you shouldn't. You talk to 3 different people, they're gonna call this 3 different things. Side cutters, flush cutters, zip tie cutters. Park calls them ZP5s. I guess that somehow stands for zip tie. But if you wanna cut a zip tie really, really close to the edge without a little sharp piece sticking out, these are the best things to do it with. And they're really, really flush, almost to the level of cuticle clippers. You can trim your nails with these, they're so precise. I always keep them out on the wall, they're always on hand. For whatever it is I need to trim down, I just really enjoy using them. So my next favorite bike tool is not technically a bike tool, but it's very useful in a bike shop, and that is the Maglite Solitaire. Having any sort of flashlight in the bike shop is really useful when you're looking into a frame or the lighting is kind of not quite right where you need to see something, but I really like this flashlight in particular for a few reasons. One, it's really easy to operate with one hand. You turn it on by twisting the head of it, and then you turn it off by twisting it the other way. The other thing is one AAA battery is what powers it, and it powers it for months or years, and then you just change it. Now, if you go online to buy one of these, it's really easy to accidentally buy the old incandescent version. It's like you might as well be holding a candle up to see what you're doing. It's terrible. I would never recommend you buy the version with the incandescent bulb. Definitely go LED. The Maglite, one-handed, smooth, easy operation. It's just fantastic. So the next tool, and I think this is a lot of people's favorite bike tool, is the 3-way hex. These are just amazing because not only are they useful, they're ergonomic. So when you hold on to it, you have perfect grip. They're not perfect for every job on a bike because sometimes they hit into things, but for quickly adjusting a derailleur, installing a pedal, anything like that, they give you plenty of torque and they just feel really good in the hand. Now, there are a variety of these 3-way tools. I like the AWS 7 the best because it has a T25, which you use all over bicycles. It also has a 5mm and a 4mm. So the biggest variety of tasks this one can accomplish. So you usually can't get by with just these. You're gonna need a full set of hex wrenches, but I enjoy using this and therefore it is one of my 10 favorite tools. So this next one I only started using recently, and honestly, sometimes I'll just reach for a hand tool for the things I use this for, but this guy right here is really, really useful. It's an electric screwdriver made by Skill. It's really small and it was only 20 bucks. Now it's not variable speed, but it is 2-way and it's not powerful enough to damage anything. So you can actually use this on a bike to, let's say, take the bolts out of rotors really quickly and not have to worry about stripping anything out. So I don't only use this on bikes, I use it in the house too, and I have a little set of bits adhered to the side of it so that I can grab whatever I need when I need it. I would say everybody should have this in their kitchen drawer or in their bike shop if they fancy power tools for working on bikes. So next tool that I really like using, a Greasy Toothbrush. I have these laying all over my shop and they're all loaded up with grease because when I grease up the threads on a pedal, I do it with this. And if you've ever used a tube of grease, you know that oftentimes you just take the tube, apply it to the threads of whatever you're gonna be using, and then kind of spreads itself. But with this, it just spreads so evenly, you get every spot and it's really satisfying. I don't know if it's necessarily better, but I certainly like doing it that way. Another great thing about the Greasy Toothbrush is that if you run out of grease or you leave your tube of grease somewhere else, you can harvest a little bit of it by just brushing really hard and get down to that old grease that's still stuck in there. In any case, Greasy Toothbrush, Not expensive, you probably have a toothbrush laying around, try it. So the next product I mainly only use to work on brake levers, and so it doesn't get used a lot, but when I do, I'm like, man, that's a good tool. The Park MWF1 and Park MWF2, I don't know what MWF stands for. Metric flare wrench. There's an opening on the end so you can get it around the hose, and then when you put it on the nut, it just kind of stays in place, and so it's a pleasure to use. Park metric flare wrench. You can put it in the same cup that you put your screwdrivers and stuff in. Works amazing. So my next favorite tool is my SnapOn Pick. It's got that little S on it, which means it's really expensive. The thing that I use picks for most is getting dirt out of the head of a hex bolt so I can stick a wrench in there and turn it. But it's also good for getting little pieces apart, pulling on things. I have a variety of other picks here, from ones that Park Tool makes to Craftsman to even this nylon gun pick. Park Tool makes a great pick. It's even got a magnet on the end. It's arguably more functional than these Snap-on ones. It certainly costs less, but the handle just has a really good molding, the perfect shape. A lot of people have tried to copy it and they just never quite get it right. If you feel like spending like 60 bucks on 3 picks, they're the best ones out there in my opinion. So my next favorite bike tool is the trusty Persuader. Park makes 2 mallets. This is the smaller one and it's the one that I use all the time. It's got a metal end for really banging on things, and then it has a nice plastic end that doesn't scratch things up. And as you can see, I've used this end quite a bit. Of course, the plastic gets all chewed up, and that's because it's getting chewed up and not the thing that you're hitting. Now, if you've never worked on a bicycle, it may sound strange that you would need a mallet, but there are times when something is a little tight and needs to be persuaded. One example of when I use this mallet is when I'm putting a crown race or star nut on a steerer tube. Now, a mallet is hardly a new and novel tool, but I really like using this one. I love the rubber handle. I love the exact weight that it is. Oftentimes, out of laziness, I find myself using it for things that you probably shouldn't, like tightening a vise a little bit extra. So my little mallet, I take every opportunity I can to get some use out of it. So these are Park Tools scissors, the SZR1, but these are not my favorite scissors. These are the ones that are made by Milwaukee, and these are so powerful that there's actually a little picture of a guy with safety glasses on. They want you to use those when you're operating these scissors. What I use them for most is opening up packages, to be perfectly honest. But these are really hardcore scissors. They're hardcore like scissors used to be, and they're really precise, hardened steel, not gonna get all messed up, super heavy, super durable, and every time I pick them up, I'm like, damn, these are a nice set of scissors. So the next tool is actually kind of broken. There's a nice little crack going down here and a little chunk missing. So what I'm gonna do is take this glue and we're gonna apply some here, and we're just gonna keep kind of putting the glue in there with the air compressor. Just blow it in there. Yeah, this is gonna be stronger than it was when we first got it, when it's done. Even with this chunk taken out, we could just fill this all in with JB Weld and then get it like perfect with the tool. Okay, so our glue has finished drying. Kevin's a little skeptical that this is gonna work. I think it's gonna be fine. So the Travis tool by Rogue Hose, it's kind of a hoe with really sharp edges. This triangle takes away a lot of the metal that you would normally not use. And so when you're swinging it around, just really efficient. If we wanted to cut some bench over here, take little layers off the top, and it just cuts right into that loam, and you can really get a lot of work done quick with it. Now, as you saw before, we glued this back together. I'm gonna have to replace this handle. Kevin was really skeptical that it wouldn't be strong enough like this. So Kevin, we're about to make you a believer in wood glue.
The crack isn't there anymore, I'll give you that.
It's a big monster root over there.
Pretty sharp, it's holding.
Are you a believer in the tight bond yet?
Before, it was feeling like it was shaking and you were losing a lot of your force. I guess I'm a believer. Didn't even take that long, really. Still a fan favorite. If I had one tool, it'd be this one.
So those were my 10 favorite tools that I use in the bike shop. Probably not what you were expecting, but this is totally subjective. These are the tools that I enjoy using most. So let me know what tool you enjoy using most, and if people upvote your comment, it's gonna mean they agree with you, and it'll make you feel good. If you enjoy videos like these, make sure you subscribe to Burn Peak Express. If you want to see us building trails, subscribe to Burn Peak, our main channel. And most of all, thanks for riding with me today. I'll see you next time.